This is New Kingston with our Jamaica right now. This one is called Protect Me. Let me know!
Hey!
Jah, protect me from the evil in the streets. Jah, protect me from the robbers and thieves. Oh Jah, I'm begging for some strength when I get weak. Must beware of the mark of the beast.
Show I the way. Guide me through these evil roadblocks.
Watch them.
I and I keep the faith. Them can't do my naughty dreadlocks. Say a little prayer for a sunny day. Can't take the sky when it's so gray. Jah, give me strength so I never go astray. Listen what New Kingston have to say. Whoa,
Jah, protect me from the evil in the streets. Protect me, Jah. Jah, protect me from the robbers and thieves. Jah, I'm begging for some strength when I get weak. Must beware of the mark of the beast. Oh, Jah, give me the strength so that I never go astray. As I trod over these hills, over mountains and valleys, please guide me on my way. This is what I pray. At times in life we struggle, but I'm trying to keep the faith. So much going on in this world that is wrong. We're searching for the answers to the questions in this song. Do you have some time for me? Please hear me when I plead and take away this negativity. Yeah, Jah, protect me from the evil in the streets. Jah, Jah, protect me from the robbers and thieves. Jah, I'm begging for some strength when I get weak. Beware of the mark of the beast.
Yeah, they try to clip up branches, but them can't kill the roots. Life can be a struggle, so we're off to teach the youth. Don't give me no drugs to juggle, don't give me no guns to shoot. Just trust in God and you will find a way to make it through. The race is for the swift, but the chosen are a few. Babylon asks a question like an interview. Because it's in the paper, do you think that makes it true? Just follow Jah teachings and you're gonna make it through. Cause
Jah, protect me from the evil in the streets. Protect me, Jah, Jah, protect me from the robbers and thieves. Jah, I'm begging for some strength when I get weak. Must beware of the mark of the beast.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah man,
Oh,
Kingston
yeah.
Jamaica acoustic sessions. New Kingston, there.
Cover me, feel the mist. Feels good to exist, I can taste the bliss. Hands in the air when you feel in charge. Not far from the truth when you master the odds. Shiver up my spine all through my veins. Will love you through life, even past the pain. Others may regret, I choose express. Looking through my windows, soul access. 1, 2, 1, 2, the party don't stop. Excited about the future, so I move roadblocks. the morning, now what's the plan? Tell the truth to every black seed, woman and man. If we don't come together, we can't expand. Melting in a pot, used to separate sand. First is confusion, erase our memories. Who are we to know if they planted false seeds? We must know we covered this whole place. Took control of everything, secluded us to a space. The planet wasn't big enough, we still exist. Creating chaos, so we must persist. I insist that you're pushing depopulation, trying to counterfeit God's creations. Fear should be at the very back of your mind. Believe it or not, we're running out of time. And if I get labeled that I'm pushing hate, I learned everything living in the right place. Shit's absurd. Believe half of what you see, some of what you heard. As the world turns, it's a merry-go-round. We better hold on before we hit the ground. Just another dream, don't wanna awake. My eyes are wide open, so it was a mistake. I was seeing my love, our life a collage. Ready to embrace, but it was a mirage. Had to get it together, cause life's an itch. When you're going one day, all of a sudden a switch. My niece said to me, I'm feeling like an adult. I'm a moving with this man and it's not his fault. And he said he was feeling just like a child. And I could go to jail if I choose to wild. At my wit's end, feeling out of control. Give it up to God, give him that to hold. Succeeding and believing. I will always work hard when things get hectic. People that I love will always be protected. So yeah, Grand Rising.
Yeah. Mama had a baby and the baby wasn't happy about the world that he was living in. This shit is fucking crazy. He was moving through the system and the system tried to raise him as a slave in the system, but he switched up in his ways and then learned about the murder and the contradicting logic of the system he was living in. The human is a product of persuasive education, turn a human to an object, and the object of the game is to find a way to tame all the people on the planet, to control it, to command it, but it starts inside the brain, the conditioning implanted in the mind of the people into over-understanding education from the slave master. Everybody dancing to the rhythm of the killing and the lying and the stealing. Deconstruction of the buildings we was building for our children, gave our children to the system for the system to devour. Turn our men into cowards and our women into weapons and the soul. What about the soul and the body of the temple to the gods that's in everybody's body, and the soul is the body and the energetic presence of the person at the essence. It will travel through dimensions to the places that are mentioned on the proverbs that are written by the ancients, putting every human in position day and night. Day and night. Yeah, know where you going, pick what you choosing. Take your heart with you on the path that you are pursuing. Moving steadily moving whenever you're moving. Put your all in, even when falling, you'll never be losing. I mean, you'll never be what you'll never be, but you can be what you can't. And you can do what you never done, and you'll become what you ain't. I mean, like you can be what you never thought that you can be. If you do the things you never thought that you can do, you gotta do into the future what you didn't used to do. So, swimming in the femininity of a feminine energy. And I am a masculinity with a passive energy. I am the truth that lies on the path of my enemies. I am the truth that lies in the past of my enemies. I am the past that remains in the future of the present. I am the present that remains in the future of the past. I am the gift of life and the life of the gifted. Becoming the burden of relief when the burden is lifted.
Grand biscuits, magic wand waving grand wizards. If you my man, 100 grand and a grand missing. I got 99 problems, what's the damn difference? Listen, on my unborn grandkids, you know a nigga grown when a band is a bandage and the band keeps playing when you on a Titanic and your home network can't handle the bandwidth life's a damn bitch. Still love her though. Raw sex pulling off the rubber slow. Rubber dub, that's a dry rub on the roast. Smells like burnt toast, you know I got a serious stroke. Periods broke like the levees. Flow on the mic kinda heavy. Got enough sauce for the spaghetti. Red hot chili pepper, order water under the bridge. I forgive niggas for wanting to live. I ain't mad at ya, I ain't the mad rapper. Just a mad dapper damn rather. Shimmy shimmy y'all like a kappa. Somebody tell Boozy that I'm badder. Vanilla extract in a batter. I ain't playing patty cake. I mean, how many patty pies can daddy bake? Mad I gotta save a slice for Sally Mae. May the odds ever be forever in your favor. Forever and a whole day later. Day to day, day traders. Daylight come for slave labor. Labor Day, labor pains getting paid straight up. Grand Rising, Grand Canyon, grandfather clock, grandstanding. You lucky if you got grandparents. Shit is Operation Grand Clearance. It's clandestine. Magazine Glam Essence. 120 playing lessons from the ancestors. Fan blessings. Hand-in-hand hand gestures. Jam sessions. Children asking damn questions. Watching cartoons and wrestling. Grand Rising, Grand Central. Freemasons at the Grand Temple. All praises to the audacious. All seeing eye, all patient. Call waiting for the hookup. Cook up salt fish. Just crooked how to pour. Get rewarded with more risk. Fried dumpling, daily bread. Top of the morning, getting daily head. Taking diabetic daily meds. Sugar-free jelly spread. Crown Jewel got a heavy head. You got a headache from the Reggie Reg. Grand Rise, 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 Grand Rise.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is JahLogic, also known as Mr. M, and this is the Morning Rant. Salute to everybody's in the chat so far already. I see you. I'll be getting to the chat soon enough. This is the 82nd episode in total, 22nd episode of season 3. Well onto our way to to episode 11. 100. Good morning. Anyway, let me get to these chats. Internet Johnson says, good morning to you, sister. Good to see you. And Lovell says, Internet, what's good with the new conspiracy? All right, salute the Internet. And Lovell says, peace, Hotep. Chris Jones, salute to Chris Jones, one of our top donators, one of our top donors. He donated heavy yesterday. He says, top of the morning, kings and queens. Salute to my guy. The Rose Show, good morning, sis, says, good morning. Good morning to you. And once again, this is the Morning Rant. So you already know what time it is. First and foremost, we're gonna have to get to this coronavirus situation. Excuse me. Speaking of conspiracies, you know what I mean? We gotta get this coronavirus bullshit out the way. Keep an eye on the pandemic. So with that being said, next up is the COVID update. All right, so let me just set that up and let's do it. Good morning, it's Mr. M, also known as JahLogic, reporting for the COVID update here for the Morning Rant. As you see here, we got an article from the Daily News. It says, in Miami Beach, cops arrest more than 100 rule-breaking spring breakers in coronavirus crackdown. So I'm going to read some of the article for you. So I'm not going to just scroll the article, but I'll read it. It says, rule-breaking spring breakers took over Miami Beach this weekend, partying in the streets and beaches without masks. Even as the U.S. remains vulnerable during the coronavirus pandemic, police trying to save lives resorted to making 100 arrests, with 2 cops injured as they tried to stop crowds in Miami Beach from spreading the deadly virus during spring break. Among other gatherings, cops worked to disperse about 200 people who were blocking a roadway, drinking with open containers and smoking what appeared to be marijuana. This is their words, not mine. The department said, according to the NBC News. James Harris, 19, of Brooklyn, was arrested on charges of battery on a police officer, incitement to a riot, and disorderly conduct after allegedly failing to leave after officers asked him to. They have a few pictures of it. I might as well pull it back up so you can see it. So there's some of the officers running up on some of the spring breakers. They go on to say, instead of following the officer's requests, Harrison allegedly yelled obscenities at the police and shoved a cop. NBC News reported large crowds persisted even after 30 people were arrested. Excuse me. NBC News said 2 injured officers were treated at a hospital and released, but remained off duty because of their injuries. Rocks and bottles were thrown at the police officers patrolling the streets. Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gallagher told WPLG TV. He told him arrests of out of control, they call him saying spring breakers, included everything from people fighting to women dancing on police cars. We are dealing with the behavior. Chief of Police Richard Clements told WPLG, all we want to do is for the people who want to come down here to have a good time, to enjoy themselves, but obey the rules. All right. So there you have it. The spring breakers were wilding on the boys. Some people got arrested, putting hands on the cops. What say you, the audience? And what say you? Good morning, Mimi. How you doing? Your mic is on, Teddy Riley.
Oh, good morning. Life is good. How are you?
There you go. You good. Sorry about that. Let's read some of these comments. Virginia Sim says no one is tasking cops on 4-wheelers. Seriously. No one's taking cops on 4-wheelers. Seriously. Fuck out of here. Redemption says clear them out. All right. It's a purgy dish down there. And Virginia Sims says peace and good morning. Good morning to Slim. Good morning to Redemption. She also says wake and bake. I haven't, I don't know if you hear it. Like, I need to clear my throat, so I need to smoke some good medicine. You know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, I agree with Slim. No one's taking cops on 4-wheelers seriously. But what say you, Mimi F. Baby? How do you feel about the police running down on no maskers at spring break? You're still on mute.
Okay, sorry. I go against mute because I feel like my outside is noisy. But no, it's a sticky situation. I feel like it sounded like they were doing their job and trying to keep people safe. And that, I mean, you just couldn't pay me enough to be a cop and deal with like citizens.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm definitely with, putting order on that situation. Tilt your camera down just a little bit. Just a little bit. Lovell says, "Is that a young T-Boz?" Is that?
I can take it. Back in the day, when I was younger, me and my friends, obviously, like you watch Clueless, you picked if you want to be sharing T-Boz for TLC. I always picked T-Boz, so that's exciting. Sharing Dion for Clueless, and then I always wanted to be T-Boz. So thank you. I'm living out a childhood fantasy right now.
So I'm gonna read the rest of the article. The article goes on to say Miami Beach is under a midnight curfew. All right, under a midnight curfew with alcohol forbidden on the beaches, but the measures are undercut by the lack of a statewide mask mandate. NBC News says 2 officers fired pepper balls due to a large, aggressive, unruly crowd and the immediate posing threats to officers' safety. A police report cited by the Associated Press said. Also included in the weekends, 100 arrests total were some seizures of weapons and drugs. A spokeswoman for the city of Miami Beach, Veronica Passe, told CNN on Sunday. They caught her saying, "If you are coming here because you think anything goes, you're going to have a terrible time." Actually, Gerber told the WPLG, and they also quote him saying, "We're going to arrest you." All right. Kelso says top of the top Ranters fam. Salute to my guy Kelso on West Coast time, pulling up on us. Salute to you. I appreciate you, G. Redemption says sis is looking a little T-Bozish. And Virginia Slim says, "Is the governor's fault for allowing all COVID restrictions? Of course, people are going to wild out." I mean, that's a fact that, releasing the restrictions, especially on masks and all that, is definitely going to invite a lot of people to come wild out, especially in a place where they're already known to have parties and spring break and all that good stuff. So I feel you on that. And we got another story here, which Steph was here for this because this is somewhat the latest in entertainment, right? But Steph did send this to us. So with that being said, salute to Steph. It might be by a little later, but basically, your man Trey Songz is trending in the news. So apparently, according to page6.com, Trey Songz spits in 2 women's mouth at once, causing COVID-19 concerns. A viral clip of R&B croner Trey Songz spitting into 2 mouths, into the mouths of 2 women on their knees is causing concern in the COVID-19 era, as the singer tested positive for the virus last year. A 13-second clip finds the Circles singer 36 shirtless beneath a moody pink lighting and 2 women kneeling beneath him, flicking their tongues as he spits. Camera flashes can also be seen during the act, leading many to believe it was being filmed for an upcoming project of some sort. Many commented that since the women appeared to be consenting adults, there's no harm done. Others, however, recall the artist contracting COVID-19 himself back in October, which is not that long ago, 2020, causing concern. And they quote somebody saying, "I'm mostly stressed out about the fact that it was a COVID-filled loogie he spit into their mouth, but okay," a fan wrote, and who posted the clip. Another added, "The fact that this man had COVID and spitting in these girls' mouths, and they are letting him, woo, I don't know. How big and good is the peen? No thank you, sir," another fan wrote at Trey Songz. Songz addressed the alleged sex tape leaked by fans, posting 2 photos of himself with a confused look on his face while staring into a smartphone and wearing a hat that says "Hoes Mad" on Instagram. The singer simply captioned the slideshow with a shock face emoji. What he's shocked about, I don't know. Maybe he's attempting to say that it's some type of deep fake situation like we talked about yesterday. Was it him? I don't know. We have to wait till something come out. But apparently, Trey Songz is spitting in women's mouth despite going through COVID. Redemption says Trey Songz is fine as fuck, but always has shit going on. Eki says Grand Rising Royce. Grand Rising to you, Eki. Salute. Good to see you. Lorvell says, "What is it with these niggas spitting in women's mouths? That's not sexy at all. Player." And Big CC says, "Good morning, y'all." Good morning, Big CC. And Antoinette says, "Those birds don't know he had the herpes too." I don't know if that's a euphemism for herpes, but maybe just a typo. But okay. I mean, I don't know his business. I don't know. I haven't heard of him having herpes, but apparently he had COVID in October of 2020, and no sooner than March of 2021, he's spitting in women's mouths. Lovell say he don't know what's up with women doing that. I mean, people spitting in women's mouths. I think there are some people that's about that life. You know what I mean? The most I can say, I don't know. Have you ever came across anybody in your, you don't have to blow them up, but do you know any women who enjoy getting their mouth spit in, Mimi?
I've only seen or heard about it in the context of porn. Not my jam, but okay. I'm not gonna mouth spit shame. No, it's not my jam, but okay.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I'm definitely not. I'm not going to shame anybody's fetish, but due to Corona and all that, I do think it's reckless and kind of out the way. And then once again, you got to just remember who you are out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to risk your whole career all because you want to spit in people's mouths? It's just kind of ridiculous. You dig? It's kind of ridiculous.
I get it. I think it sounded consensual based on the story. So it's just like, all right, it's cool. And I'm not exactly sure how this whole Corona thing works, because I know friends who've had Corona and then once they got it, they're like, I can't get it worse anymore than I had it. So I'm going to go continue living, business as usual. So it's like, is it kind of like a cold? Like, he had a cold before, the virus is still in him, but is it a risk for them to contract it now because it's already he's built up, but he's not active right now? I don't know. So it sounds like it could be unsafe, but maybe not. That's my first thought. The second thought, kind of off topic, Trey Songz, to Redemption Song's point. Trey Songz, I feel like we've talked about him at least every other week on this show. Feels like it's been multiple occasions. And I think when he's starting to lean towards into this whole shock value culture where he's in the news more often for something that he's did or involved in versus his actual talent. And this isn't a shot to him, but I'm curious if this is the way that to keep attention, to be in the news. I think the niggas who really saved their money and didn't just spend all their stuff on gold chains before COVID are sitting quietly, but we keep hearing these constant few still in the news for little things. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I'm not trying to accuse him, but it's just better. This is going to make the news. Why are we doing this?
Right. I'm go ahead and say, as far as not knowing how it works, I mean, there's a lot we don't know, but I don't think he knows more than we do. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's definitely wilding. I think the girls who let him spit in their mouth is wilding. If you just came into the show, we're talking about Trey Songz spitting into a few fans' mouth, two to be exact, and them having pictures of it. Amaz Algorithm says, "What's good?" Salute to the Gemini twin. Laurel says, "I think Trey Songz learned from Meek Mills." To your point, he's definitely staying relevant by being down by putting out that fuck shit. Kennedy Williams says, "What up, Ja? What up, Mimi?" And salute to the chat. Salute to my guy, Kennedy Williams. Kennedy, have you ever spit in a bitch mouth, Kennedy? Hate to be vulgar so early in the morning, but I know you with the shit, so let us know. Have you ever spit in a woman's mouth? Big CC says, if he bends down and kisses them in the mouth, would people have the same reaction? It's a good point. That's a really good point. You know what I'm saying? Because kissing obviously is going to spread the same germs. You know what I'm saying? So actually, obviously going to spread the same germs. So would it have been a big deal? Probably not. Probably not. But I think it's the
opposite. Or if it was one woman. What if it was one? Because I thought the same thing. I was like, it's like them kissing. And I know Trey Songz has had a threesome before. If it was one woman, would it be a thing for us? I don't think you really care, but would it be a thing for you if it was one woman? Does that change the...
I don't think it would change. I think I would still talk about it if it was one woman, because the spit is what making it crazy. Like the person wrote in the tweet or whatever, they said the COVID-filled loogie, they called it. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's the spit that's throwing everybody off. But Big CC does make a great point. If he was just kissing them, would people really give a fuck? And I mean, If he was just kissing him, it probably wouldn't have made this article, and then the article probably wouldn't have made it on our desk. You know what I'm saying? But if I would have seen the video, because I haven't seen this video of him, spitting in people's mouths, I don't want to. But if I seen the video of him just kissing random fans during COVID, I probably would say he's wilding. You know what I'm saying? Because he don't know where that fan has been. You feel me? So I say that. Lovell says Trey Songz is in the news more than Bow Wow. Facts. And Shan P, salute sis, says these R&B dudes be wildin'. And Redemption says these entertainers out of VA be tripping. Trey Songz, Chris Brown. Well, salute to them. Salute to VA. You know what I'm saying? Kelso says, how quick niggas forget the Freaknik era. Shaking my head. This regular. But, it is regular to certain people. You know what I'm saying? But is it regular to spit in people's mouths during COVID? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy. Once again, if you just pulled up and you just joined us and you just started watching the show, we're talking about Trey Songz spitting in two fans' mouths during the COVID era. Kennedy says, laugh out loud. I'm not sure. Them was my ecstasy days. I wonder what she did to me. And then he said, I know she swallowed. And Mills Lane says, good morning, Ranters in chat. Good morning, Mills Lane. Salute to the big brother, Mills Lane. And once again, salute to Kennedy, Kelso, Redemption, Shampee, Big CC, Antoinette, Amaz, Algorithm, Lloyd Vell, Chris Jones, Eki Redemption, Virginia Slim, everybody who pulled up already on the check-in. And of course, The Rose Show. Good morning, The Rose Show. Almost forgot about you because you was first. Can't do that. And Redemption says, Freaknik was wild. #memories. Salute. So,
shout out to Freaknik. I'm originally from Atlanta, so y'all taking me back. I was too young to go, and then being in the city and too young to go, you still get the energy of the excitement, and then, by the time I was old enough, it was over with. So, shout out to Freaknik.
Shout out to Freaknik. Keenan Khan says Trey Songz is a loser. He's a loser, according to Keenan Kong. I mean, is he really a loser if there's women out there willing to, swallow his spit? I don't know. Maybe he's winning in his world. I don't know. Mills Lane is saluting people in the chat. Salute them. So with that being said, next up would be information from Mimi. Are you ready, Mimi?
Of course I am.
All right, that's what's up. So let's do it.
1, 2, 1, 2, ready.
Good morning, everybody. It's Mimi F Baby with your information, because when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And here at the Ranters Union, we will always be ready, okay? So, as promised, all week, we're talking all things finance. And I love to start back to the basics. Yesterday, we did a little Dave Ramsey plug. We went through his step 1 thoroughly of his baby steps, which is to save $1,000. Before we even get into step 2, I'm actually going to take another step back and just talk about budgets. Some of you guys may have them, some of you guys may not. A budget is basically a written plan of you telling your money where to go. I know in this age of technology, we have subscription services. Oh, this is only $7.99 here. This is $14.99. I could do it. And like, auto pay for this, auto pay for that. And then at the end of the month, you're like, where did all my money go? So I just want to encourage everyone to really look over your budget. We tend to emphasize on getting more money. But if you're not spending it well, you can make, $100,000 and still feel like you're making, $30,000 because of how you spend with what you have, but actually really using the money that we have to the best of its abilities. And if you fine tune on the budget, and maybe there's some subscriptions that you bought and you just pay, for me, Disney Plus, I questioned it the last time I paid for it. When is the last time I used this Disney Plus membership? Why am I giving Disney $7 every day and every month? And even though it's just $7, that adds up. And where can I put that money elsewhere? To maybe I put it in a Bitcoin, or I don't know how that works, or invested in something. But that's really the thought of the day for everyone to challenge, like, what your budget is doing, and you can probably end up giving yourself a raise, eliminating things that you really don't need, and evaluating it every couple of months to make sure like it's growing and evolving with how you're growing and evolving your lifestyle. So check your budgets, check your auto pays, check your subscriptions, and create some more money in your life. That's it. That's all I got.
Salute to Mimi for the information. Lovell says the F is for financial, and I love the Mimi segment. Salute to you, Lovell.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it.
Kelso says budget equals swipe until it declines. Pull out another piece and keep swiping. Can't stop, won't stop. But nah, good point, Mimi. It's crazy how much money we can spend when we're not paying attention.
So that's a great point, Kelso. I'm glad that you made this joke, because there is a study that's out right now that shows like how money is connected to pain, losing money. So when you're spending cash, you physically see a transaction. So back in like the days before the land of electronics and credit cards, even before we had an actual like formal currency, there was a barter. Like, I'm giving you this sheep for you to give me these bales of wheat or something like that. So you feel the pain because you're losing something. And so the study basically breaks down like when you're spending cash, and I only spend in cash. When you're spending cash and you physically see the money leave you, it triggers in your brain for pain. So think about like that $100 bill. You'll probably keep that faster in your wallet versus swiping. Versus the debit card, it triggers pain, not as much pain as cash, but a little bit of pain. So you have that conscious. But when you're swiping on a credit card, you remotely feel no pain because it's just like rubber money that goes into the cloud. So these push on credit cards keep you in debt because you're swiping until it declines because you don't feel as much pain. So that's just a thought.
No doubt. That makes sense. Mars says, thank you, Mimi F. Kennedy says, if I get a stim check, I'm flipping that shit the old school way. Kennedy also says, he's talking about Kelso. Kelso says, Kappa Beach party at Tennessee Williams. He said, right. Laugh out loud how long we was on that bridge wilding. All right. And like a motherfucker car to car on hoes. I'm sure there's some kids out there from that shit. Yeah, I'm sure. And he's talking about Freaknik. He said, I think kids in traffic from Freaknik and beach parties in Galveston. Big CC says, yeah, I look forward to Mimi's segments. Salute. And Redemption says exactly about us not taking the credit card debt that serious. Kelso says that was math, note taken. Salute. So, we try to give you some good news too. We don't always like to talk about the fuck shit and or the drama. So this is a story that comes to us from blackbusiness.com. 11-year-old black student wins coding competition. He beat out 3,000 rivals from around the globe. His name is Dominic Darby, 11-year-old student from St. Catherine, Jamaica, who's recently won the X Prize Connect Code Games competition after creating his own video game for the first time. He was one of the only 17 winners out of the 3,000 people who joined the global competition last year. They go on to say around 70 participants were also from Jamaica. Darby was named best in class, and he was given $1,000 cash prize in the junior division. The competition was sponsored by the nonprofit California-based X Prize in partnership with video game developer Elan Media and supported by Endless Network, which aims to improve lives through technology. Darby used MIT's Scratch coding software in creating his winning piece entitled How to Fall, all right, wherein the game character moved through multiple levels while getting away from different obstacles. It took him several months to finish the game, which is the first ever game he created. His mother, Celion Darby, said he first learned about the platform when he was 6 years old, when he attended a summer program held at the University of the West Indies. He is also partly self-taught, as he enjoys reading books and watching YouTube tutorials about coding. Darby, who currently attends Womer's Preparatory School, also enjoys playing Minecraft and Roblox, as well as chess and tennis. He plans to study computer science and work in the same field someday. Salute to that young man. Redemption is clapping too. She says good on that kid. And Lord, let me see. Ahmad says, my nigga Dominic with the coding. Salute. Kennedy says, I would swipe the paint numbers and barcode off a credit card. I'm flipping that money. They gotta find room to fit a side note on my credit report. Damn, at 11, that's cool. Yeah, he's young. He's young at 11.
Yeah, keep going, Black King. I love seeing little black kids. Well, black people in general, like, make the news for things that are not necessarily things like, you know, the first bull rider or like the black ice skater. So like seeing the black kid in the news for coding and beating out the competition is just so cool. You know, he's literally creating a lane for some other black kids to think is cool.
Facts. All right, so we're gonna have to go into some a little craziness now. All right, nothing too crazy. Well, this is crazy. I ain't gonna front. I wish Schoolboy was here for this one. I believe this one would be considered part of the Civil War report. Let me just make sure I pull up this video first and make sure it's clear. All right, here we go. Take the ads off because the ads won't let us be great here at the Morning Rant. All right, but basically, let me just read some of the article. Man arrested near the home of VP Kamala Harris with guns and ammo found in his car. According to the reports, a Texas man was arrested near the vice president's mansion. Paul Murray, 31, was stopped shortly after noon outside the Naval Observatory, where the vice presidential residence is located. After searching his vehicle, police found a rifle and ammunition. Murray was arrested on suspicion of carrying a dangerous weapon, carrying a rifle or shotgun outside of a business, possession of unregistered ammunition, and possession of a large amount of ammunition and feeding device. All right. So let's see. Here we go. I got the video. It's a short video, so bear with us. Let's check it out. This comes to us from CNBC TV. All right.
President Kamala Harris's D.C. home. Police arrested a man from Texas today near the Naval Observatory after they received an intelligence bulletin. That's according to authorities. Police say they found a shotgun and ammo in the man's car parked in a garage downtown. The man identified now as Paul Murray of San Antonio. A person passing by took this video that appears to show the arrest. In it, you can see a man surrounded by cops with a bike on the grass near them. The vice president was not at the residence. Nobody hurt and no word on charges. Shepard.
All right. So what say you? Is that reason for alarm? Or do you think it's a coincidence?
Oh, sound all of the alarms. Ring the alarm. Shout out to Beyonce. Call the dogs. What do y'all say? Like, tighten up security, bump up security. Like, yeah. Guns, I don't take that kind of stuff lightly. Like, you can't tell me. You know how on this show we've had a few conversations where, like, a man, we talked about a guy who even would just be like, I'll kill all you. I don't play like that. Like, those ain't jokes to me. We can't laugh at the cookout with that. You remember I was mad? I said I'll kill you. Yeah, I do. Like, I'm not playing. So this is really scary. I said this before. Like, it feels like Kamala, I always say her name wrong, is the president more than Joe Biden. Like, she to me makes the news more. She's more in constant conversation. And this is, it's an unfortunate situation. I'm happy to see that he's a white man and not a black man. Maybe that's inappropriate to feel, but I'm glad it's not one of us. So, silver lining.
Yes, I guess. I mean, she definitely makes the news a lot. I think it's because of the optics, but Grand Rising says, Grand Rising friends, Jai, Mimi, you both looking wonderful this morning. Salute. Thank you, Sky. Good morning. And Kennedy says, I saw that story. I wonder who sent them. Facts. I think that's what we need to know. You know what I mean? We know he was there with the weapons. We probably can assume what he was there to do. You know what I mean? Like she said, sound all of the alarms. But who sent you, nigga? Who sent you? We need to know. What do you belong to? What organization are you part of? What's his name? You know what I mean? Give us his name. Let us search his Facebook. All that shit. You feel me? I think if he was black, they would have told us all of that. But, you know, in this case, it was just a little short clip. Oh, they found guns and ammunition by the house. And it kind of, if you ask me, that video in itself glazed over all of the facts outside of the fact that he got caught with the gun.
Yeah, if this wasn't like, if you would just told me, listen to this story and without any context, I wouldn't have felt like this was a assassination attempt on a U.S. the second highest official. Like it felt very downplayed. That's why when you said like, do you feel this way? It's like, yeah, sound the alarms. Like this doesn't seem, I don't know. Like I feel like if it was like the president, it would have been a bigger thing. Not necessarily Joe Biden, but a president. It would have been, or maybe a white man. It would have been a bigger thing. I don't know. I wish Schoolboy was here to like really get into this because this would be so his bag.
But they get the temple pointing Schoolboy. Kelso says it says he had a shotgun. Shows video of them emptying a magazine from a 5.56 round. Laugh out loud. False flag or nah. Hashtag fair porn. Let me see if I can go back to the article. I think I already changed the page or whatever, but they talked about him having a shotgun and ammunition, possession of a large capacity of ammunition, feeding device. So, yeah, obviously he had more than a shotgun, judging of those bullets. But like we were saying, it looked like they kind of glossed over a lot of that story. You know what I mean? Like it almost looked like a routine traffic stop, how nonchalant they were being with that nigga. You feel me? Redemption says, this won't be the only attempt. The political climate is insane and domestic terrorism is at an all-time high. I have to agree with you. Lovell says, I want to know Antoinette's thoughts on this. Antoinette, I know you're in the chat, but you're probably getting ready and all that, taking the kids to school. But if you can feel free to give us some of your words on this, that would be duly noted, and they want to hear from you. Kennedy says, I would not be surprised if it's staged. It's something about her I don't trust. Fair enough, but why would they stage it?
I would guess like a sympathy or compassion card because she is so polarizing. I don't think it's staged, but Tennessee, like you bring up a good point. Politicians do things for like approval ratings and all. I'm not into politics like that, but I know that term, approval ratings. So I think it's room to explore that thought because people like you don't trust her, and then maybe you'll have compassion.
Right. And then maybe we say they trying to kill her. We got to protect her. Hands off Kamala and all that shit. Maybe. I don't know. Fair enough. I mean, anything in the news is worth scrutiny. I'll say that to Kennedy's point. Kelso says maybe it was a Frisco dude she gave 40 years to for having a zip of homegrown back when she was in Frisco. So if anybody don't know, he's talking about San Francisco when she was in the Bay Area handing out football numbers just for having some homegrown marijuana. Redemption's laughing at Kelso. Lovell says, wait, how does he know where the vice president lives? Shouldn't this be kept secret? They talked about it being some type of place where vice presidents, usually stay. So maybe it's public information. Maybe just like the White House is public information. You feel me? So maybe we just don't talk about it as much as we talk about the White House. I don't know. That's just maybe me giving it the benefit of the doubt.
I think that people's houses are secret, but if you looking for something and you trying to find it, you'll find it if you really want it. So if you're on a mission to do something, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people think, especially in this new time the era that we in, that they can just talk shit online or whatever and just be a public figure, and nobody gonna be able to find out where they live. And in reality, all that shit is public new information. Like, you have to go out your way to make your address private. I don't know if anybody knows that out there, but you have to go through the search engines, request them to take your shit off. Otherwise, it's up there. It's up there. All right, Kelso says, fake news, Trump voice. And Lorvel's laughing. Kennedy says she wants to get people to think she's the president and she will be any color of race, and she everything they want her to be. I just don't trust her. Fair enough. Fair enough. Redemption says what I said is public info. Yeah. Everybody's address at this point is public information. Virginia Sims says the VP lives on the grounds of the Naval Observatory, which is down the street from the White House. So there you have it. So sidebar, what I didn't say, what I probably should have said is, yep, this happened in D.C., happened in Washington, D.C. You know what I mean? So I think there were a few comments that I skipped over in regard to the good news. So let me get to that really quick before I switch gears and talk about another story. Let me see. Where was that at? Okay, so Lorvel says we need to produce more kids like him, talking about the young Jamaican brother who was 11 years old and won that coding competition. And
when I have kids, like, their children's books are going to be like computer science, coding. Little Johnny went to the computer. Like, I want to make that cool. Like, I wish that I had an interest early on in like the sciences, because that's where the money's going.
Yeah, and believe it or not, they're giving people scholarships for gaming. You know what I'm saying? Even gaming. So sometimes gaming may look like a waste of time, but actually that is the future as well. Redemption says, seems like his folks have invested heavily into his education. I would believe so. And Kelso says, this kid is setting the tone for the future. Shout out to the black techies. Salute to that. Salute to them. All right, so Internet checked in. All right, so that's what's up. She says, there are so many political assassinations we don't know about. Kumala, no typo, isn't special. And let me see, Redemption says, address in DC, #1 Observatory Circle. Lorvel says, if I'm the vice president, my address will not be public, or I'm walking around with a Glock. I mean, I'm sure she's walking around with security. So even if she don't have the hammer, a security do. But having a gun don't always protect you. You know what I'm saying? It's a common misperception. I'm not saying don't carry, but having a gun doesn't always protect you. Ms. Ravioli says, no more secrets. I don't know what y'all talking about, but hashtag use your voice. Hashtag advocacy over silence. She don't know what we talking about, but she started early. Good morning, Ms. Ravioli. Kenneth says, as I smoke my morning blunt, cooking, Mimi still looks like a way better version of Eve.
Thank you. That's very sweet. I hope you're enjoying your blunt and breakfast. Amen.
There you go. And Kelso says, Kun Mola. All right. Kun Mola. They going in on Kamala early this morning. All right. So let's talk really quick about these shootings in Atlanta. Are you familiar with those shootings in Atlanta at the spas?
Just the headlines that y'all put in the group chat. I did not read it.
Okay. Well, apparently they shot up. It was a white guy who they don't even talk about him being white like that, but it was a white guy that they arrested. Well, that they were looking for. I don't know if they finally found him. That got away with shooting up to like 3 spas at one time. You know what I'm saying? Then at one time, I think 2 of them were right across the street from each other.
And there were fatalities, right?
Yeah, I think it was about 7 deaths. You know what I mean? So let's say you think it's an Asian hate crime, because they were just trying to accuse black folks of hating Asians. Now it's a white guy killing them. What's your thoughts? You think it's an Asian hate crime, or this guy got burnt and he went back for revenge and he don't know who burnt him? What do you think?
I started seeing memes last night about Asian hate crimes with like my woke blacks and hoteps and illuminiggas that I follow. I don't know anything about these stories outside of the headlines. So I'm gonna listen in with the audience, and then I'll get some thoughts.
All right, fair enough. So if anybody has anything to say in the audience about this, feel free. Kennedy says, I'm not cooking breakfast, I'm grilling. I got fajitas, pork chops, and chicken on that motherfucker. Laugh out loud, I ain't cooking nothing else today. Salute to you, man. Make sure you throw some vegetables in there too, bro.
No, he's like all meat. No, he said I'm cooking fajitas and get all meat, no veggies, no peppers, no nothing. Side note, I want to learn how to grill one day. Like somebody, when you throw a party, do a cookout or something. I want to help learn how to grill.
All right. Miss Ravioli says it was a hit. The orders came directly from Asia. Okay. that's a kind of that's a bold accusation, Miss Ravioli. Why would Asians send a white man to hit other other Asians? I don't know, Miss Ravioli. You got to explain yourself. You got to explain yourself. Kelso says protect the Jack Shacks. All right. Hashtag protect the Jack Shacks, because apparently people getting jerked off in there. All right. Steph says, get the likes up. Salute to Steph. Salute to my guy. Virginia Sims says, Asians about to get protected citizen status. Watch. I mean, I'm going to keep it right there for a minute. It seems so. It seems so because 1 minute they're talking about black people hating on Asians. Then they're talking about this. Well, then this guy's killing Asians, right? There's a lot going on via Asians, you know what I'm saying, needing protection right now. At least that is what they're showing us. And I think there was even a video, I might pull that up too, of a lady, an older Asian lady, I think in San Francisco, who had to beat up an attacker or something like that. So there's a lot going on in the media right now via Asian hate crimes. So Kennedy said, I got the veggies wrapped in a foil. All right, good job, man. Good man. And Amaz algorithm says they should have held court in the streets with him. Facts. And Redemption says, did Mia say Illuma niggas? Yes, she did. Kelso says,
yes. Oh no, I was gonna explain what Illuma niggas is. Like, shout out to the Read. That's where I stole it from. Kid Fury and Crystal, my favorite podcast. But like the Illuma niggas, think of like an organization ran by like Future and all of your problematic faves. That's them. Secret society. Yes, that's it.
all right. Let me see. Kelso said, tell Jeremy Lin I want to run his fade for pumping that black and Asian beef. And he didn't say no names and made the whole NBA look prejudiced. That was dangerous and divisive move. Yeah, salute them for that. Salute to you for that. I mean, for calling Jeremy Lin out on that, even if it's just on the show. Lorvell says that white terrorist definitely proves that white men have an Asian fetish. Yeah, I mean, I think we know that. They definitely got a fetish for what they consider ethnic and or, exotic via all indigenous cultures. Kennedy says, I think the Asians want more money, while all of a sudden they a focus group. Milzane says reparations for the Asian community in 4, 3, 2, 1. And Redemption says they will go hard for the Asians. And Ahmad says, I fuck with the Asians heavy. I grew up with Cambodians. All right, salute. And Kelso says, it's definitely a media play going on right now with this whole anti-Asian rhetoric, just my opinion. All right, Redemption saying hilarious. Kennedy says, I'm calling it. Mexicans just thinking they can get across the border using their kids. I'm telling y'all, they're about to get Trump back in. All right, well, there is a lot going on right now via, via people coming across the border. I did see a lot of that. Biden even, not to, switch the subject, but Biden even admitted that his policies may be maybe promoting people to come into this country, you know what I'm saying? Because they'll find exile and all of that. So there's a lot of people that's about to be mad about that. We're still in the middle of a civil war, as Schoolboy called it. And, you might have a point, you know what I'm saying? That might be what happens after a lot of people come across the border. We might have overwhelming support of Trump coming back in 2024. Virginia Slim says the House already passed a resolution to stop anti-Asian racism because of COVID. All right. And Kelso says everyone has an Asian fetish. No, I wouldn't say I have an Asian fetish. You know what I mean? But Asian women are pretty too, but not all of them, not just because they're Asian. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I have a fetish for no race. Let me just say that. I don't have a fetish for no race. So I'm not going to look at someone because they're of a certain race and be like, they're beautiful because of that. But they do have beautiful women. Also, I don't know. I don't think, no. So the answer is no. Everyone doesn't have an Asian fetish. You know what I mean? Ahmad says, I wonder if they brought him a Burger King after Dylan Roof. I wouldn't be surprised. And Kennedy says, my point is, why is there no pressure on the countries they coming from? And point taken. The United Ronin Networks. Salute. Good morning. Salute to my guy, Ralph from the United Ronin Networks, our brother network. If you haven't subscribed to that page, please do. StepGotJokes says, Asian fetish? Ew. I guess that's a no. That's a no for you. And Virginia Slim says Asians got their reparations for those Japanese internment camps in World War II. All right. But, you know, there's other Asians too. So maybe they all want to get theirs. You know what I mean? Who knows?
So speaking of fetishes, related but kind of not related, cousin related, is Asian men and black women have the closest rate of being like unmarried because black men are more open to dating outside of their race than black women from some study I read about. And then Asian women are also very open to like dating and marrying outside their race. The dominance was white men. And so that leaves black women and Asian men who tend to like stick to their guns of like their, you know, their black love or their Asian love. Like we're the most like single subset of people groups.
I would like to see this study. Please find it and bring it to the table. Because basically you're saying the study said that black men more times marry out their race. Am I correct? Is I hear right?
Like they have a more openness like than black women. Like black women were like, we want a black man, we want this black love, we want this blah blah blah. Like we're, I think 1 in 12 black women in the population are married, that want to be married in like a heterosexual relationship. And I want to say the study is like very comparable to Asian men too. I don't think it was 1 in 12, but it was really close. So like the joke in the study was, if black women and Asian men start getting together, then like we'd have more marriages.
Could that be propaganda?
It could be. I'll try to find the story and send it to you, and you can make your own judgment.
All right, please do, especially while we kind of on the subject. Let me see. Steph Got Joke says that's weirdo shit in regards to, I guess, the fetish. Kelso says no one in power really has a problem with Mexicans. They produce unbeatable cheap labor and keeps our economy competitive. The problem with Mexicans coming to America is a fake problem. I mean, I don't agree. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but outside of the point that people don't have a problem with it. I think there are many people who still have a problem with it, but it's not because of the cheap labor. It's just simply because they're racist. You know what I'm saying? Kennedy says, I sling equal opportunity wood to women of all races. Laugh out loud. Shampoo says, you mean all them kung fu movies they make and didn't learn any moves? Yo, sis wildin'. Redemption says the police chief said the MF had a bad day. Wow, that's crazy. Lorville says, I have a black fetish, but did you hear them saying he had a bad day? What the fuck? And there you go. That's from the article. And Mills Lane says, and they will get them again before us. And Kelso says, cousin related, ayo. And Big CC says, I definitely have a fetish for black men. All right, okay. And Redemption says, there's truth to that. And I think she's talking about what Mimi said. Amas Algorithm says, I see a lot of black women with white dudes. What say you about that?
I think it's true. I think interracial dating is a thing. I think if we find the right study, and I'm looking for it right now and I can't find, but I know in Issa Rae's book, The Misadventures of the Awkward Black Girl, she talks about the study in one of the later chapters of like her being a single black woman, and she talks through this study. So I'm just trying to find it online, but that's where it lives in print form. Yeah, but black women do date outside their race. I'm not saying they don't. I think, but the general consensus that I read in this study is like more times than not, black men are more likely to entertain women of other races before a black woman will step outside and be like, I want to date. I'm open to dating a white man or whatever type of man.
Well, I'm not
Numbers.
right. I'm not into saying what I don't know for a fact, right? But I will say that when I used to come back to New York after I moved out of New York, when I used to visit, I mean, obviously I'm back in New York now, but I'm just saying this to date it. So about maybe I want to say about 4 years ago, 4 years ago, when I used to come back to New York and I used to go back to Brooklyn or whatever, upon gentrification bulking up, I seen a lot of black women walking around Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, Crown Heights with white boyfriends. Whereas I was living there before I moved and I didn't see that. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't see that. And then I came back and it was like, it almost was like they was making sure they didn't get kicked out. You know what I'm saying? So I made a joke on Facebook where I was like, damn, it looked like they gentrified the pussy too. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go ahead and agree with him and say I see a lot of black women dating white dudes as well. Whereas when it's black men usually dating white women, it's usually like some celebrity or something like that. You feel me? Go ahead, Mimi.
That's fair, but I think that's also a microcosm. Like New York, LA, Seattle, these are very progressive cities, but in the grand scheme of things, like from a national level, they're very small in comparison to like the general population. So I think that's if you like took that study within the landscape of Brooklyn, it's fine. I'm trying to find this this study so we can go, but my Twitter fingers aren't working that fast. But if you look at like true pure numbers from a national level, it'll look a little different. Just like it'll look a little different in the South. Like you'll probably see more black men, I would imagine, with black women, like more couples segregating and staying within their race in the South versus the West Coast versus New York and like these more progressive cities, and the Midwest, same thing. So
Well, once again, like I said, I don't claim to know these numbers, and I don't talk about what I don't know. I'm just talking about like in regards to Ahmad's point, like he sees, I seen it too. However, while I read these comments, feel free to try to find the numbers so we can see if they're legit numbers or is it propaganda? We don't know. Virginia Sims says, unfortunately, you're right at Mills. Lovell says, Mimi, how old is that study? She's trying to find it now. Kelso says, Filipino mix with Spanish, one of the most fire mixes. Get your one, Playboys. Redemption is laughing at Shan. Snuggles, good morning, says, what other studies do you read about relationships that you care to divulge? If you don't mind me asking, have you read any other studies?
yeah, I read a lot of books, and like they will cite a study so that I know where I read that study before. Like I said, the Issa Rae book. There's this book called what's over there? It's like Eloquent Rage. Brittany, whatever the author is, she talks about it, and then I just come up on random stuff on the internet. So like study about fashion trends is like random information. So yeah, just ask me what you want, and I probably have read something about it or have some kind of small context.
All right. Well, like I said, I'm finished with the comments. Feel free to find it. I'm also going to just throw out there sidebar when we talking about Issa Rae. Let's not forget that Issa Rae did give us a movie where it was in a relationship with an Asian man. So let's throw that out there as well. Virginia Sims says a lot of white supremacists have Asian wives. Okay. And Kelso says black women with white dudes, commercials and shows are being pushed. Hashtag I know the truth. Hashtag dilute. Hashtag if you can't kill them, join them. Snuggle says, can anyone tell me what is this divestment movement about? Divestment movement? No, I don't know anything about that. Big CC says, Mimi, that book was hilarious in reference to the book you're talking about. Kennedy says, whoever listens to Lisa Ray and Stacey Dash got the good coke Kamala getting. They lost like a motherfucker and will do and say anything. So I think she said Issa Rae, not Lisa Ray. They said Issa Rae. I don't know if that was a typo too, but Kelso's laughing. Virginia Sims says, I see nothing but interracial couples in TV commercials. I see that a lot too, and a lot of times when I see it, you know what? I'm just gonna say I see it. I'm not even gonna say it's one over the other. You know what I'm saying? And Big CC says, Logic, he was Indian. Well, India is in Asia. India is in Asia, Big CC. So India, Japan, China, all of that is Asia. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say he was Asian. Let me see. Snuggle says, do y'all look up studies from black demographics? Well, the study that she's talking about came to her via a black author that wrote about a study she read. So we're going to give her time to find that. You know what I mean? Me personally, I'm actually married to someone who creates studies and all that. I'm married to a black woman who is a sociologist. So I talk to her a lot. I read her work. You know what I mean? Just to throw that out there. So, but I'm not out there just finding random black studies, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I just sent a chart
Really
quickly. So that's that. And while you're looking that up, Snuggles, no, I don't look up studies, but I read, like I said, I read a lot, or like I'll click on articles. And I'm a learner, a life learner by nature. So I tend to get interested in just things I read and then what happened to Google and stuff like that.
All right, so I have it, but I'm gonna finish these comments first. Redemption says, but hey, whatever works. Oh no, she read this first. She said, brothers in the DMV are falling over themselves for snow bunnies. And she said, hey, but whatever works. But Redemption, is that all over the whole DMV? Or is that just in like DC? Or is that really the whole DMV, Maryland, Virginia, and all that as well? So I know in DC, like you spoke about in the past, you got a lot of, you know, quote unquote successful brothers who might be dating these as you put, snow bunnies, you know what I mean? But is that all of them? Is that in Maryland too? Is that in Baltimore? You know what I'm saying? Is that everywhere out there? Or is it just something you see more in DC and or in the VA around the brothers who work for the government, etc.? Let us know. Kennedy Williams says, right, the motherfuckers like them would do and say anything. They need some quittance. I take applications, laugh out loud. If one of them motherfuckers hit my gram, it's going to be a whole different woman. And Virginia Sim says, Redemption, they just smashing them white girls, but they rarely get wifed. All right. And Miss Ravioli says, pork free life. Okay. And Kelso says, Issa Rae handlers slipped that weird stat in the book to encourage black women to go outside the race and end black unity for good. Hashtag I know the truth.
Fair argument. I like that y'all flip it upside down. It's fair. It's fair to argue.
I mean, like I said, her last big film was her and the Asian guy dating. So, I mean, it could be propaganda, but we'll look
that book was written years ago, way before that film. So
sometimes films are written years before they come out. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, propaganda. Redemption says, Eloquent Rage was an excellent read. Ladies especially, add to your list. Salute to Redemption.
Come on, Redemption. We are aligned today. Yes, ma'am. Yes, that book blew my mind away, and she's hilarious. So, yes.
All right. Kelso says, church. Kennedy says, already. Theta Hedge Capital says, yo, salute to you, my G. Good morning. Kelso says, you're married to a woman that creates stats, so you know how flawed 93% of the stats are flawed. See what I did there? Laugh out loud. Stats never tell us who was included, how many people were considered, etc. I mean, in some cases, people will divulge, you know what I mean, how they came up with their numbers, whether qualitative or quantitative and all that good shit. But at the same time, you're right, though, Kelso. I have been in conversations where I was told by professionals that numbers can be skewed. You know what I'm saying? That just because people are educated and find a way to create these numbers doesn't mean that they can't create the numbers to back their point. That is true. So, you know, we do have to take all of these quote unquote numbers and research with a grain of salt. And that's why is also good to go by research that's been peer reviewed. You know what I'm saying? But even sometimes the so-called peers that's reviewing it be on some bullshit. So, all right. So here's this study that Mimi gave us. All right. So we're going to run through it. It says this is from Pew Research Center, Social and Demographic Trends. This is from 2017. And the chart starts in 1967 and ends around 2015. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but
we get it set. Yeah, can you go to? There's another chart if you scroll down. I just really only want to this chart right now. Like, ignore the part of black men are twice as likely to get married to interracial, because to you and Kelso's point, numbers do tell a story. Numbers don't lie, but you can put them in a way to tell the story that you want to tell. And my point isn't around do black men and women, like black men date more interracially than women. My point I was making was like the Asian men and like the fetish, like Asian men are single, roughly around like the same ratio that black women are single. And to Issa Rae, the point that Issa Rae was making in her book, if we would both step outside a little bit more, then we can close the marriage gap. So that's the story I'm telling for context. So if you look at this chart, the dark is men and the light green is women. If you look at the black women, we date, we marry interracially less than half than our male counterparts. Asian is flip. It's not totally half, but Asian women are likely to date interracially than their male counterparts. So this is proven to the point that I was making earlier, statistically, according to the Pew Research Center. That's it.
Black men are twice as likely as black women to intermarry, right? And you're saying that's the same with the Asians, but that don't mean the numbers will add up. You know what I'm saying? But I feel you. I heard what you're saying.
I said the numbers will add up. I said the gap will close. So like absolute things like the numbers will add up. This always black men will always date more than black women. If we do this and this solves this problem blanketly. I didn't say any of that. I said the gap will close. If Issa Rae's joke is in theory is true, then it makes sense, is all I'm saying.
I hear you, but I'm just saying that the numbers, you know what I mean? So speaking of the gap, the numbers won't necessarily close because the gap is not the same. You know what I mean? It's not the same amount of the population, etc. So I think it's more that have to be looked into it. But what I will do is throw this link in the chat for anybody who wants to look at it, come up with their own conclusion. To me, looks like more propaganda than me. Looks like propaganda. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And here we go. I just put the link in the chat. Virginia Sim says, to the ladies, are y'all willing to marry a non-black? That's for the ladies out there. And Kelso says, it's because in Asian cultures, the traditions is to have the women stay inside and relax during pregnancy. So you rarely see them outside during pregnancies at Kennedy. And he's responded to something Kennedy said. I think it's like an Asian woman can't come out when they're pregnant. You just see the kid. So that's what he was responding to. Rosdale Farrock says, good morning, fam. Chill with the eating Mimi. And I guess you're eating in their ears when they're wearing headphones. Salute to my guy, Rosdale Farrock, who's also married to a black woman. You know what I'm saying? And Kennedy says, I know here in Houston, we have choices of different women. It's normal for us to get different women in different races. And my homeboy asks, have you ever seen an Asian preg? I said, never. Kelso says, if you're married to a woman who creates, okay, we read that already. Sorry about that. And Redemption says, they are wifing them slim. Jai's referring to black men who have an average or better income. I was. Virginia Sim says, but Hove told me men lie, women lie, numbers don't. But, you know, numbers can be used to, just like any truth can be used to promote a lie. So I said this plenty of times on the show. Most lies, or not even most, all lies are built on a truth. That's how you get people to believe the lie. You give them a truth, and then especially because you're the one who gave them the truth and they didn't have to go find that truth themselves, you gain some credibility, and then you throw your lie on top of it. And people usually go ahead with your lie, you know what I mean? Because you're the one who fed them a piece of truth. You know what I mean? All lies are built on the truth. Redemption says, fantasy funny but oddly true. Snuggle says, does anyone ask why the Asian women do not want Asian men and vice versa? We will have to ask Asian women about that. You know what I mean? We'll have to ask Asian women about that. But as a black man, I don't think it's any secret why, you know, we would be sought after. I'll say that much. You know what I mean? And
okay, I'm going to speak on that, even though I'm not an Asian woman. And so I'm saying I'm not an Asian woman, and these things could totally be unfactual because I don't have that experience. In same book that I read, they talked about like traditions, and I know Kelso made a joke a little earlier about it, but like Asian women like having to grow up in this like traditional thing, and like there are some who like want to rebel against like these strict standards, don't know how true that is, and like part of that is like marrying interracially and breaking out and exploring like a new way of life. Could be a possibility.
All right, fair enough. And let's see. Redemption says, Issa is right though. We need to explore other options. You're right, Redemption. Black women do need to explore other options. Like polygamy. You need to explore polygamy. All right. There's not enough real niggas out here for y'all. You know what I mean? So if about 4 women per real nigga, that's a good average to me. It's a good average to me. You know what I'm saying? You need to explore that option. So I keep dating these fuck niggas and blaming it on all men. You know what I mean? So, or all black men. Kelso says it's because the Asian culture and the traditions. Okay, we read that one. Virginia Slim says, to the ladies, y'all, are y'all willing? So that question I read earlier, women, please feel free to answer. Snuggle says, do men outnumber women or women outnumber men? Does anyone know? I've heard, I don't like to speak on what I don't know, but I've heard women outnumber men. And I've definitely heard black women outnumber black men. So, Mimi, have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I'm looking up a statistic since we're doing facts this morning. You don't want to speak on things you don't know, but we always speak on things we don't know on this show. So I'm not sure why that's the case. But in Eloquent Rage and Redemption Song, if you have a better way of explaining, she also talks about like black women outnumbering black men, and she makes this theory, and it's like coupled in a joke of like she blames Bill Clinton because of like the crime rate bill, the mass incarceration. Then also you got to think about like the murder rates and things that have happened in like bigger cities, and like she breaks down all of like the numbers of a lot of like our generation's children, our Gen Z, eloquent millennials, all those kind of, not eloquent millennials, like elderly millennials, all of those like being affected to a lot of the Civil War things that were happening with like the crime rates, the war on drugs, the murder rates, and we don't have enough men out there because they simply just don't exist.
All right.
But I'm looking up the population thing too.
We do that. But also, just to respond to your first comment, you got to flip the W. You said we speak on things we don't know. You got to flip the W. All right. I never speak on what I don't know. I speculate. I ask people for their opinions, and I ask the audience to form their own opinion, but I never say anything to be fact. And we spoke about this yesterday, and I've been on record saying it plenty of shows. I'm not the one to tell you this is a fact if I don't know something to be a fact. We spoke about it yesterday.
Isn't speculation synonymous with speaking on something you don't know? If we speculate, like maybe this happened or maybe this don't, and if you don't agree that at that point, then we just like stand on two different sides, which is fine. But speculation and speaking in absolutes is kind of the same thing to me.
Speaking of absolutes and speculations is totally different, because the speculation is exactly that, speculation. And it could be semantics if we're speaking on it, right? But what I'm always clear on is I'm never telling you what you have to believe, and I'm never telling you something to be a fact that I don't know to be a fact. Now, if I know something to be a fact, I tell the audience, I'll say, I know this to be a fact. But usually, if I don't know it to be a fact, I'm honest with the audience, because I never want to influence somebody to believe something that is just my belief. I'm very conscious of that. You know what I mean? And that's why we have a panel discussion always, because I want people to give their opinions as we turn the stories on their head so the audience can come with their own opinion. You know what I mean? So it could be semantics when you say, are we speaking on things we don't know? But I never tell the audience that this is something true if I don't know it's true. Speculation and fact is two different things. Mr. Ravioli says,
Okay.
dudes with small glizzies migrate towards tiny vajayjay. And salute to Miss Ravioli for that observation. Candace says, I know y'all have seen women preg and towing a kid in other races. Asians don't want that scene ever, though they got kids like everybody. It's crazy. And Virginia says, Slim, yes. Antoinette says, I cannot marry a non-black. The darker, the better, to answer the question. Big CC says, absolutely not. All right. Laura Bell is saying salute to Antoinette. Shampy says, Dr. Umar will be highly upset about this survey. He will have a field day on this. Miss Ravioli says, I am white. I'm not pleased with that portion of my DNA. I'm sticking with hashtag Black Men Right. Black Men Rock, excuse me. Maz Algorithm says, I've been seen with an Asian woman, and yes, it's the pipe game, just like with white girls. All right, salute for your experience. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Laura says, Dr. Umar needs to open that damn school first in that abandoned building. All right. And Laura says, what redemption? What did she say? Oh, she answered your question and said yes. She said yes. Okay. All right. And Antoinette's laughing. Sunflower Sky says, polygamy and slavery are the twins of barbarism, Jah. Well, maybe, is it barbarism or is it just organically traditional, or is it tradition? Is it organic? Is it just what we need to do to survive? I don't know. You know what I mean? I just think it needs to be explored versus talking about all black man ain't shit and all that type of thing we usually hear, right? Redemption's Laurel is the truth. She shrugs. Kelsey says, you aren't white, Miss Ravioli. I'm not going to let you do that. Well, she's whatever she says she is, man. You can't tell nobody who they are. You know what I mean? Another thing I've been quoted saying up here. All right. Candace says, damn good average, laugh out loud. 4 women per nigga. I knew them stats. Laugh out loud. Take advantage, men. Take advantage. Smoky voice. Laurel says, the real question for the woman is, why would you marry other black men in the diaspora? It's a good question. Why not marry an African man or a man from the Caribbean? I think they'll have answers for you, but I think that's your question that he's posing. Miss Antoinette's laughing. Miss Ravioli says, free black women outnumber free black men. So yeah, you know what? That is something I heard with the stats too. So I don't know, once again, if the stats are correct, but we hear, especially in places like where Miss Ravioli is now, that the eligible black man versus the eligible black woman that's heterosexual, you know what I mean, and free, the women were outnumber the men. Lovell says, redemption, I can't rock with that. Well, it's her choice, sir. It's her choice. It's her choice. Ahmad, unless you're going to go marry redemption. Look, did we got a love connection? Lovell, you going to move to the DMV area and wife our sister so she ain't got to go outside her race? Let us know, Lovell. Ahmad Algorithm says, I looked it up. I think there are more men, but I always thought there were more girls than men in the world.
There's varying studies. The ones that I'm looking up, a lot of them are really 1-to-1. And then I'm trying to find one that's a little bit more nuanced in like ethnicity, specifically black, since it's what we're talking about. But living in Atlanta, I know I've read countless like studies, and then obviously there's like, what do you call it? Tribal knowledge of like conversations where I think when I was living there, it was noted 14-to-1 men to women. For every one man, there was 14 women. And I believe that was nuanced black, just in the black community. But according to one of these studies I'm looking at, like there's like 3.7 women billion or whatever to 3.6 men world population or something like that.
No doubt. Kelso says there's elderly millennials, and with a question mark. Antoinette says,
Yeah. So our age, so the 30 plus, we like just lost the cusp of being on like the Gen Z. So we're still considered millennials when you look at like target demographic for like consumer buying habits and things like that, like trends. Elderly millennials are basically the ones that didn't grow up with the apps and the social media, but were integrated into it. So maybe you like caught on in college, like when they were like coming out. And then Gen Z, the TikTok generation, is a whole nother generation. So that's that.
Internet says, what is other black males, Lorvell? I think I'll answer that. I think he was talking about black other people from the African diaspora via the Caribbean, Africa itself, things like that. Kennessy's laughing. Redemption's Lorvell. That's the beauty of being entitled to your own opinion. Lorvell says black men from Africa, Europe, etc. Internet said, oh yeah. And Miss Ravioli says, JahLogic, lies, all lies. We all speak on which we do not know. Hashtag Team Mimi, at least for this statement. Well, I'll tell you, like I told Mimi, Miss Ravioli, flip the W, because I know what I say. I'm very conscious of it. And you, Miss Ravioli, however, on the other hand, always speak on what you don't know, which is why I hashtagged the term nigatistics just for you. I don't know if you remember that. The first time I said nigatistics on the show was when you created numbers out of thin air. All right. Chris Jones says, is Asian women going to be honest about changing their race, culture, the reason why they would date out of their race? Nothing is wrong with that. It is what it is. It's people's life and their choice, who to choose, what they choose to believe. I agree with that. It's definitely people's choice. Chris Jones, salute to Chris Jones as well.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Like, I'm not in on two rhetorics. One, I don't think all niggas ain't shit or all black men are terrible. I don't categorize you guys as that. Like, I happily date black men. There are a lot of great guys out there, and that's the energy that I want, so I can attract great black men. And I also don't think that I don't have a problem with anyone dating out of their race, whether you're a black man or a black woman. The only point of concern that I have with interracial dating is black people, both women and men, and specifically that because I am black, is I'm going to date out my race because this other race is better. That's the only time I have a problem with black men and black women saying I date exclusively outside my race. But you love who you love.
I agree with you there. And I'm going to add on to that and say, when you fetishize another race, you know what I mean? Because then you're not married, which is still not none of my business, but then you're not marrying that person because of who they are, or getting with them, rather. You get with them because you're fetishizing their race. You know what I mean? So I'm highly against fetishizing a race.
I would even go as further as say it's fetishizing a color, because I've gotten consistent compliments since I've been on the dating scene or have entertained men like, oh, like, well, what do you like about me? It's like, you know, I like that you're a red bone or yellow bone or however I look, depending on like how the sun hits me, right? Where my family is primarily dark skinned. So when I was growing up, for a while until like more grandkids came around, I was like the lightest person in my family. So I actually thought I was off, like, because, you know, black is beautiful to me. My sisters are dark skinned, they're beautiful and chocolate. And it wasn't until I got into grade school that I was like, oh, there's other versions of black, you know, outside of like dark skin and me. And so even with, I think there's a fetishizing, I'm not saying it right, when it comes to like colorism. So it's just like who you like, no problem. But yeah, those are the only times where I raise concern.
Fair enough. Kelso says, oh, hold on. Lorvell says, yeah, you on some other stuff, Redemption. Lorvell, man, I told you, man, you're gonna move. You're gonna save her from having to date outside her race. Kelso says, speculation doesn't imply that you're coming from a place of fact. There's a difference. Speaking on things you don't know as if your words are fact-based. All right, salute to Kelso. He also says, Mimi's face when Miss Ravioli says she was white, laughing. Tennessee Williams says, my wife Mexican. I told her, keep talking that shit. And one of my baby mamas Mexican. I told both of them, keep talking that shit and have you going. Yeah. And Q-Tip, Virginia Slim quotes Tribe Called Quest and what's my dude's name? In De La Soul, he says, I point at Q-Tip and he says, black is black. Salute to the native tongues. And rest in peace again to my guy Shamello, who was also part of that whole Native Tongues collective too, low key. The last time we hung out was at a Native Tongues reunion show where he replaced Charlie Brown, you know what I mean, for the Leaders of the New School segment. You know what I mean? Fun fact. Miss Ravioli says, I am white. Well, you know what? Let's keep it here real quick. For the reason you're saying you're white is because you got some white ancestors or whatever. I'm not going to debate that, but I will give a fun fact to the audience. If you look up white, one of the definitions for white is being from Northern Africa, believe it or not, Northern Africa. So if you go look that up, especially in older dictionaries, that is one of the definitions of being white. So still out there, sidebar, which is why the brothers who are part of the Moorish Science Temple of America will say they're not black, they're actually white. Internet says, I'm married to and Jamaican from, I'm married, not married now. I married and Jamaican from England. All right. And Keenan Khan says, Kelso, nah, that's just me as permanent smirk. Redemption's laughing at me. And Virginia Slim says, Antoinette was eating jerk chicken with crumpets. Kelso says, I'm just clowning, Miss Ravioli. I believe you. And Antoinette said, She was eating crumpets blood. She was eating crumpets blood. And Laura Vell says, Antoinette, where did you meet him? She said, in Brooklyn. And Ahmad says, nigatistics. Facts. You already know. And she said,
pause right there, because I love nigatistics. I just want to go on record that anything that I say on here is on it. I may not know word for word, but I don't ever. That's an absolute. I'm gonna do my best to never provide a niggatistic. Mine is gonna come from some shit I read, hopefully from a credible source.
yeah, I think you do a good job at that too. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like in the past, or even just now when you said what you said, you never said it to be fact. You said you read it and they quoted a source that you weren't firm on. So, you know, me personally, I'm really conscious of that, and I feel like I haven't heard you do it, but I do it. I don't agree that we talk about what we don't know, because I feel like, you know, I at least and you did today do a good job at saying this is our opinion versus what we know for a fact. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As Miss Ravioli, when I created the term nigatistics, came back with it's pastatistics, right? That's where she got that from. Me calling her stats nigatistics, and then she started calling it pastatistics. But what it's not, ma'am, is statistics, Miss Ravioli. Anyway.
Well, yeah, my thing with like that is, and I'll always caveat like this makes sense to me. But going back to the point, just because I want to address that just a little bit, is my point when I say like we all speak on things that we don't know, we speak in absolutes, which you know how they say like a lie eventually becomes the truth if like you say it enough and believe it. Like we'll tell a story on like something, and then someone may post it, whether it's someone in the panel, someone from the audience, or maybe this happened too, and then we'll spiral down a rant, which is fine, but it's like we added that part of the story and now this is a new conversation. It does happen. I don't think neither one of us have ever like subscribed to it, but we entertain it, and like now it's out there. That was the point I was making. I feel like I am having to use my college and high school education today, but which feels really good because we're getting into some like intellect stuff instead of like fuck shit, which I'm always down for. But I'm like, I had to be smart this morning. Woo! Okay.
Well, we have a well-balanced audience and our show. Snuggle says, what is the dictionary term for fetishizing? So I looked it up as I pulled it up. Merriam-Webster dictionary says a strong and unusual need or desire for something, a need or desire for an object, body part, or activity for sexual excitement, an object that is believed to have magical powers. All right. So I hope that clears it up for you. Redemption says, agree. It's self-hate. If self-hate is the motivator, then it's an issue. I agree with that. Absolutely. Amaz algorithm says, don't get it twisted though. I love black women, but hard to find one good for me. I mean, I was joking about this the other day with I think it was school where I was talking to. I think I need to be a matchmaker. Like I think I haven't been meeting one of my callings because I just know so many eligible single people who can't seem to meet each other. It's fucking weird to me. It's really weird to me how people can't meet good. I know so many single good women. I know brothers who aren't fuck niggas, you know what I mean, educated, you know what I'm saying? I don't know who they are in a relationship, right? But I know a lot of good brothers who have, like, you know, their heads on screw straight, not, you know, they're not abusers, Miss Ravioli, you know what I mean? They got good jobs, they got moral standards and all that. But for some reason, these people can't seem to meet each other. You know what I mean? Sometimes they're not in the same place or same state or whatever, but I don't know. I think I would be a good matchmaker. I don't know. Maybe we might.
I was like, maybe you should take a stab at it. But one of the things I was thinking about as you talked about it, I had this conversation with David, the guy I worked with the show with, for anyone who doesn't know Lil David. And when we rolled out like our event, he brought out niggas. Like, you know, like all his friends from the neighborhood came. I was like, where have all these black men been? And he was like, I'm never going to hook you up with niggas I know. And I'm like, why? He was like, one, I don't think they're where you are. And then two, like if something is to go wrong because they're on like fuck shit, like I'm kind of responsible. So maybe there's some thoughts around there. Like when you put people together, it can be some, like if it doesn't go wrong, you're a part of that. And I kind of applauded him for saying it, because specifically for him, it was just like, they not going to be on that type of time you want, and I'm not getting involved with that. But to Ahmad, while you respond, Ahmad, I'm just curious, because you usually hear it from the other way around. Like, I know so many great single black women and some great black men, but what, from a black man's perspective, what will make a good one good for you? What are some of the qualities and values that you're looking for? Because I wonder if people just miss each other because it's not in the package, and I'm guilty of that too. It's not in the package that you thought. So for a while, like I had a certain aesthetic, like tall, tattoos, like, you know, the main guy in the club, you know what I mean? And then when I realized, like, okay, some of this insides doesn't work, I've had to reevaluate. So I'm just curious what you would think.
Well, I definitely. That question is for you, Ahmad. That question is for you, Ahmad. But to speak to what she said, I think one of the main things I see people go wrong with trying to find people. One of the main things is because it's not even standards. It's like these expectations. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing wrong with standards. Usually, there are plenty of people that meet your standards, but then you have these extra expectations on top of the standards, and expectations will lead to disappointment almost every time. You know what I'm saying? So all these crazy expectations, usually people got to see past that and see when there's a good person in their life. You know what I mean? Virginia Simpson's right, Mimi. I don't care who you date. Just don't broadcast your anti-black sentiments to the world. Kelso says, couldn't fetishizing share definitions with simply having a preference? Yeah, because they talked about body parts. So if you have a preference for a certain body part that, you know what I mean, to be a certain way, I guess it could be a gray area. It could be a gray area. But I think, to me, when it comes to people fetishizing a race, or, you know, like she said, when it comes to colorism and all that, you're not looking at the person anymore. You know what I mean? You're looking at, you know, even when you talk about her, right? You ever heard a dude say, oh, I bagged this bad light-skinned bitch, or I bagged this bad white bitch, or I bagged this bad dark-skinned. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, is she a good person? Like, what was the conversation when you met her? Like, it's so much more to the person than how they look. You dig? So, Redemption said, Lord. Kennedy says, I told my wife and my youngest Mexican kid, I hope your papers ain't legal. I told my kid, I'm going to call your mama. I'm calling ICE on all them motherfuckers. Keep talking shit. Kelso says, I'm a whole tent black, but I like Latinas right now, so I'll focus on our shared African history. Ms. Ravioli says, there's a whole thing with Asian women scooping up men of other races. Norwegian women are pissed at Thai women for taking their men, and there's a white male pilot movement that's marrying Asian women. All right, all right.
So pause. So this is what I mean in the show. You didn't just do that, but like you didn't just subscribe to this, but this to me would be something where it's like, where did you get this from? Like, what, like, was it an observation of one Asian woman that you saw, or no, you met one Norwegian woman one time that was pissed at a Thai woman for taking blah blah blah? And I'm not taking shots at you, but I'm just showing an example of the point. Like, that to me would be a negativistic. Like, how are we backing up this information?
Feel free to put your sources in the comments, Miss Ravioli, or else is deemed negatistics. Chris Jones says, "How did you pull that Mexican woman? I've been trying to get with them for years. Teach me." Well, Tennessee, I believe, is in Texas, Chris Jones. So it might be a little different out there. You know what I'm saying? In his part of Texas, whereas you're in New York City, and you're not going to find too many Mexican women who are just into dating
Yeah.
outside their ethnicity. Keenan Khan said,
Probabilities and numbers are a thing. Probabilities and numbers.
yeah, absolutely. Keenan Khan says, "I did the 23, and me turns out I'm 7% European. What's yours, Miss Ravioli?" All right. Kiyoso says, according to the law in the U.S., white and black were used as a way to illustrate a person's legal status. Under law, white used to mean you are a free person, and black meant to be without freedom. That's the other side to why the Moorish Americans use that term as well, according to the Black's Laws Dictionary. Good.
Yeah, this is really interesting because this kind of plays into the conversation around like uh, formulating numbers to tell your story, because numbers don't lie, but you can make them tell your story. So there's this difference with like honesty versus transparency. Numbers are honest, but they aren't necessarily transparent. But when you get into this whole like the white and black, we're the only nation that identifies with race first. If you go to other countries, they identify with ethnicity. You go to Europe, you're like, oh, I'm Parisian, I'm Norwegian, I'm this. We're the ones that identify with like our color first, and then we'll say, oh, and then my family has, descendants from Haiti, Jamaica, blah blah blah, whatever the case is. When it comes to like this legal status and census and things like that, if you notice, the census has changed within the past couple of years. You can look it up. I'm not doing any more Googles today. Is because there's more dominance of people of color, and I wish Schoolboy was here to talk through this from a Civil War perspective. The census wording has changed so people can identify more with their whiteness. So it used to be, I think it was like white, black, and then non-Hispanic, and now I think there's an option of like Hispanic white or something like that. So like numbers are skewed, and then it plays into like all this like other systematic things that I don't get into. But it's really interesting how America has set us up to identify with our race versus our nationalities and things like that.
That's very interesting. Good point. Virginia Slim says, Kelso, fetishizing leads to the reinforcement of stereotypes. Black women have fatties. Asians are submissive. Latinas are sexual in nature, etc. Good point from Virginia Slim. Mills Lane says, Asian women are rarely seen in the feminist movement, thus making them the target for a man who doesn't want a challenge. Becky causing her own problems through liberation. CG says, I'm convinced there are no other good black women out there. No, they're out there, sir. They're out there. All right. And Keenan says, spot on at Mills. Yes, salute Mills had a great point with what he said earlier. Kenneth C. Williams says, I've been with women in different races, but for some reason, all the motherfuckers tried to take me out the game. Laugh out loud. I just got with a motherfucker that halfway wanted to take me out. When you say take you out, you mean kill you?
I thought you meant like take you out the game with marriage. I was like, maybe you're just a good catch and people just know what they got in front of them, so they try to take you out. So I hope that was the case. What Mills was saying in accordance to like the whole, that was a fantastic point. The feminist movement, given that we've started this conversation based on like the whole like war against Asian, I don't know if it's Asian women or Asian, because I thought you was gonna pull up the article and read it, but I'm curious to see now how that's going to look with now the culture conversation shifting.
Mills Lane says Houston on the check-in, talking about Tennessee. Salute to Tennessee and Mills. Miss Ravioli says my creator took multiple levels of statistics and at Spelman College, statistics are real, and to dismiss them would not be wise. I would behoove y'all to respect my nurturers, sophisticated Jaguar Nation. Listen, just put your sources. Just give us your sources, because sometimes you don't be having no sources. A lot of times, Miss Ravioli, you don't have.
What is statistics?
Negatistics, but she's statistics. She turned it into negative to statistics. Because I coined the term negatistics around, I believe it was either her or J Doug, one of the two, or both of them around the same time, would give us numbers with no source. I created negatistics. Kennedy says Mills Lane already. Salute over here, chilling, morning blunt grilling. I can't wait to join you, man. I got to get my morning blunt. I usually don't smoke before the show, so I don't want to be off point. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna be smoking right after, Kennedy. I'll be right there. Totalitarians hologram says y'all got Serena Williams up in this piece. Nice. Kennedy says people don't get with each other long term because there's so many options and easy access to opposite sex nowadays. It gives a false sense that you'll be able to eventually find perfect. Good point. Maybe you got something to say? My fault. Go ahead.
Yes, pull up. Another great point. Shout out to all the smart niggas in the building today. Aziz Ansari's book, I think it's called Modern Dating or Digital Minimalism, something like that. And he breaks down dating from like the 1950s into present day. This book was a few years ago. And because it feels like we have more access to people, because we do, with like the swipe right, swipe left culture, we are discrediting people to actually really get to know them over little things like, oh, I went out on a date and he laughed funny, so I don't like him no more. You know what I mean? Or he sneezed weird. And that could have been your husband, but you didn't work through it. Where in the past, like, you pretty much only met people within like a 7-mile radius of your time. We're more transient. We're moving. We have different jobs. We're a global nation. So I can literally go meet somebody in the Philippines right now, and if I like them, figure it out. But what I love about that book, we really should start this book club. What I love about that book is it didn't say one way was greater than the other. It was a very objective book of like, here are the benefits of like how they were dating before modern life came about, and here are the benefits now. And here were some of the cons, because some of the cons of a woman in the 1950s is she married her husband and maybe she never had a chance to live out her career. And a lot of those women verbatim, like who were researched as a part of the study, was like, I had these kids and I became a wife, but I really didn't make anything of myself. But then you look at someone who I would identify as a career woman, who is like, did I miss my shot? Should I have gotten married earlier? Should I have had kids there? So it was this very nuanced book, and it was the best book that I read on dating and relationships from a social perspective, with a lot of backed up science.
I'm gonna say this, and it's not absolute, and I like what you just said, by the way, and I want to sidebar until I say that. So definitely salute to you on that. That's a good point from Aziz too. However, what I'll say is, and it's not absolute, but I say that a lot of times I used to hear a lot of older brothers say, like the one that got away. They talk about the one that got away, or she was the one, right? But they was just too young to give a fuck, or too young to see it. You know what I mean? So that put me in a frame of mind at an earlier age that I might meet the one, but because I want to do me, I might pass her up. You know what I mean? So I was always conscious of not doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? So in some people cases, not a lot of people, I'm going to say some people cases, I don't know the negatistics to it. I don't know the number, but what I will say is there are a lot of people who passed up that person that could have gave them a good life. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of, that's a thing too. So some people out here still looking for what they already had. You know what I mean?
It's crazy you said that. I'm working on a new series concept, which I may have to now like talk to you off the scene. We're developing a show, And one of the questions that I posed yesterday was, why do men, because I've experienced that a few times where it's like, you are the right girl, it's just the wrong time. And I'll pose a question to you, and the panel, feel free to jump in. Is you may have to give me secondhand experience. Is, if you know I'm the right girl, why don't you make this the right time? Why say I'm going to ruin this? Because tomorrow really isn't promised. So that doesn't make sense to me. And women, we will, if we feel like we got a great man, we will make the adjustments. Like I remember in college, I know I'm going off on a tangent, there was this guy I really liked. He wasn't doing too well in school. He had to stay another year behind. But I was popping at the time. Like I was like, I'm about to go to Texas on this internship, and everything was going smooth for me. But we really liked each other, and I almost turned down the internship to stay behind with this who's now me, raggedy ass nigga. Like I was ready to adjust myself for love. And I don't understand why, if the guy feels the same way, like what is the hold up on adjusting yourself for the right person?
Well, I'm gonna say it's usually on both ends. I'm not gonna say it's just on the guy's end, you know what I mean? But everybody has to take responsibility for their part. But I can't speak for other men, but what I will say is my assumption or my guess, or from my experience and the people I know, my microcosm, most of my guys, we married the women in our life, right? A lot of my close friends or whatever, we married them. But in the cases where I see that didn't happen, and why it's not usually the right time, it's because we gotta get our dick wet. You know what I mean? Like we gotta, yo, our nature is to conquer. You know what I'm saying? So we really want to, it sounds savage, it sounds wrong, but we really trying to get them notches on our belt. You know what I mean? We really trying to spank as many cheeks as possible. And in our early 20s is usually not the time to settle down. That's our time to go explore, to go spank as many cheeks as possible. So we really know that you're the last cheeks I ever need in my life. You know what I'm saying? Now, it may not sound right, but that's usually what it is. We really trying to hold on. One of the late great comedians, Patrice O'Neal, he talk about how men, you have to womanize before you can settle down. Like you have to have experienced that, being able to womanize, and what he's saying is womanize may be different than what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is womanizing is literally what I just said. We try and get in as many panties as possible before we settle down with the last panties. No, most men don't want to say, oh, this is the last girl I'm fucking that I met at 17, 18, 20, 21. You know what I mean? Now, where the women could actually play their part in, I'm not in sticking around. It's not just what you did was commendable, willing to, you know what I'm saying, switch things around and all that. But what a lot of women do, especially around at that age, is as soon as y'all start fucking, they want to know, what are we, right? And then in a lot of women, even the older women, like 3 months, oh, we better be something. 6 months, we better be something, or you playing. And that's not always the case. You know what I'm saying? Let that man do what he got to do until he's ready to settle down. You know what I mean? And that don't mean you can still do what you got to do too. So in my situation, like, my wife, who I'm now with, I met her when I was about 21. You know what I mean? We weren't exclusive for a few years. You know what I'm saying? We weren't exclusive. And then after that, we still were dating. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to marry you now and all that shit. I didn't get married till I was 30. You know what I'm saying? So for a lot of women, 8 years, 9 years, that's too many years. You feel me? But at the end of the day, like I had told a story not too long ago, my friend who died 3 years ago this month, he was with his woman till he died, only because that's the way life made it, right? So he didn't have to marry her to be with her till he died. That's just the way life played itself out. So I say that to say this: relax. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, date that man. You feel me? Be honest about each other. Let each other know about the hole in you. You know what I'm saying? Talk about some shit. You know what I mean? Let it be known about how far you willing to go. So we really know that person we about to settle down with. Talk about your fuck ups. Talk about, go date, still date. You know what I'm saying? But don't be like so quick, especially at that age, to be like, yo, I better be your one and only. Because then that shit might last for 3-6 months and that's it. When, y'all might have more time. Let him date. You can date too, if that's your thing. You know what I'm saying? Be honest with each other. And then what's for you is yours. Let it go. If it come back, it's yours.
So there's 3 things that you said that I wanted to tackle. So few things. The first is when you talked about like men just have to have a moment to conquer. I get it. I've heard that story time and time again. My immediate question is, what I love about guys is like real thorough guys usually have some form of an OG, a big brother, somebody like a dad, but then also some outside sources that like teaching him the game so he can navigate. And the thought is most of them will say like, oh yeah, I did this in my day, and then I realized like there's this emptiness, and then I settled down with so and so, because the finish line is the emptiness. Like why feel like you have to have this need of like sowing all these oats before getting to the end, when you could just get to the end and save all that time and money and energy with all these like crazy women that don't mean things. So that's the first thing. Do you want to answer?
Yeah, you're not going to forget the other ones, right? Though, if I answer that.
No, I just don't want us to go on a rabbit trail. But I'm really curious. I'm not negating your experience, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just like, why do men think that way?
Once again, I can't speak for a man, but you're not going to forget your other 2 points if I answer that question, right?
Mm-mm.
All right. So the answer is you got to ask God. God made it this way. I can't tell you. I can't tell you that. You know what I'm saying? Look, Snuggle says, are men polygamous by nature? You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you that. I can't tell you why we're built that way. You know what I'm saying? Why we built that way. I can't answer that. But as far as the analogy you said, why not just go to the end of the ride, right? Well, let's use an analogy then, right? Your favorite food. Do you enjoy it at the end of it, or do you enjoy when you mid food, when you're like, oh, this shit tastes good, right? Like, do you want to get to the end, or do you want to enjoy that shit and savor the moment, right? So for me, it was savor the moment. You know what I'm saying? I'm enjoying fucking these girls. Like Redemption said, she said I was knocking them down. Yes, I was. I was enjoying that moment in time, and I needed that to last as long as possible. Next question.
Fair enough. This one is just more so a point, like, because you called it commendable, which thank you for the compliment, but I'm at a different space than I was there. Like, one of the best things that I've done in life, or decisions that I've made for myself, is move and live in other spaces. And I know like you've lived in California too. It changes your perspective, because if I would have stayed in the South, I wouldn't be the woman I am right now. And so one of the best things I did was get out the South, move to the West Coast. Now I'm up in New York. And so I've expanded my horizons. And when I look at that little girl, I was like, girl, I'm so glad he had the wherewithal to say, nah, you need to go on that internship. Like, I ain't worth you like adjusting your life for me. So I actually don't really think it was all that commendable. Maybe loyal to a fault at best. But that brings me to like the third part that you talked about that I want to explore more, is being from the South and having that perspective. It was, I'm 22. Let's, try to figure this out. So we get married at 25 and have kids, all these things. And I don't necessarily subscribe to that anymore. If it works for you, it's fine. But for me, what I love about men is not necessarily the act of soiling your oats. How does it say? Sowing your oats? I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. Like going out and living your life. And when you're dating, when men date, y'all fucking date. Like, it's like, I am single until I am involved. Where women, well, I'll use just my personal experience. In the past, if I'm dating and I like a person, usually it's monogamous, and I put myself in this mode of like, I'm going to be a girlfriend in training to show you that you should have me. Where now I truly date, and it's like, no, I'm not on the interview side. Like, we're both interviewing each other to see if it works. And I found more success and peace in truly dating. There's nothing wrong with women dating multiple men, and dating doesn't always mean sex or kissing. It truly can mean just getting to know people. And men, in my experience, have done a better job of like navigating through dating spaces and making like dating a thing, commitment a thing, and marriage a thing. And those are blocks where women in my world and me at one point in life intertwine. Like, I like him, so let's be this girlfriend in training to get on this marriage track or blah, blah, blah. Where one of my guy friends was like, women, y'all have to just learn how to swim. You're going to be caught when it's time to be caught. And you're going to catch when it's time to catch, but just like swim. Just swim.
So I agree with that. And those weren't necessarily questions. They were just points in regards to what I said, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I didn't want to make sure I didn't ignore any questions, but yeah, I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, definitely. And I think that if you would have came to that terms earlier, that might have been even better, because you might have not wasted so much time on being committed as a girlfriend to somebody that you could have just dated. You know what I'm saying? So me personally, I would encourage the women that I was dating to don't rush me, and you should date too. You know what I'm saying? I was big on that. And I was also big on tell me about how your dating is going, because I want to know the real you. Like, you know, there's a joke out there where people talk about women giving, like, they have like 3 different personalities for 3 different men. Like, you got the guy who's dicking you down, and then you got the guy that you're putting on the perfect act because you want to marry this dude, and then you got the guy that tricks on you and all that. I want to know the real you. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want you to give me one of those different personalities, if that makes sense. So for me to know the real you, even if I don't want to hear it, I need to hear it, which is I need to hear about how you're dating other people. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear about your escapades. I want to hear about your hostcapades and shit. And I'll tell you mines too. That way we really know each other. You know what I'm saying? So now I could say this is someone I could rock with. And now that person, even though they got the free will to do what they will, you know what I mean, do what they want, she might not fuck a million dudes. She might only be dating a couple others, or she might only be fucking one other dude. You see what I'm saying? So with that being said, I'll know that, and I'll say, okay, in her nature, with her free will, this is how she move. You know what I'm saying? Not that she's just trying to pretend to be this person that she's not, because she wants me to think she's wife material. You know what I mean? And then also, like, trying to be a wife by a certain age fucks women up too sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think like what you were saying about like transparency, because that's something, it's new for me. It's this new muscle, and it gets uncomfortable at times, because I want someone to know my best and my worst before we sign. And I want to know that too. Like, we ain't getting together till we blow out, because how can we recover from conflict, all these kind of things? Because that, when you look at like what a marriage really is, like, pussy expires, sex can only take you so far. And when I'm 80 years old, here's my litmus test. If I'm 80 years old, I think I've said this before, what are we doing in the rocking chairs when all we can do is look at each other and talk? Like, what does that mean? And damn, something just blocked me, but you said something that I really wanted to bring a point to. But it just really is, it just basically boils down to like, date and really ask the real questions. I don't think we do that anymore. There's like the surface things, like, do you have a job? Do you have this? Do you have that? So here's a real example. I'm just going to put my business out there. I've dated a guy before who had like the checklist, right? Like, fluent, money, well-spoken, well-cultured, like with the party, blah, blah, blah. And he didn't necessarily treat me right, because maybe from his perspective, like, look at what I have on paper, I could get another one, right? But I've also dated someone who works maintenance or like a blue collar job, but will treat me well. And literally, like, so you think of somebody who works like in like a maintenance field, you may have to like shovel shit that day at work. But you will shovel shit to make sure like your family is taken care of. And like it blows me away of like the values that we place on people are or that I've seen in my experience. And I've had to like shift as I've gotten older because I was like, oh, those things aren't really important. Like, yeah, I can have this great guy who looks great on paper and we look good in Instagram together, but I'm always wondering when he's gonna call me next. I'm always on the phone with my homegirl, like, what does that mean when he texts this? Should I text this next? Blah blah blah. Versus like, it don't matter what time I call this dude. It don't even matter. So it's just dating is really nuanced, especially in these days, and there's just so many distractions with social media and reality shows and just how we live our lives, and it just feels like we're effed up. But yeah, girlfriend in training is one of my biggest takeaways. Like, ladies, don't be a girlfriend in training. Date and you're single until you're not, and that's y'all having the conversation. So
I agree with that. Sweet D says, good morning, peeps. Good morning to you, Sweet D. Good morning, sis. How you doing? And she also says a lot of people miss their shot because they want to be in the streets. So I'm going to take that and segue into this question from Redemption. So I was in them streets heavy. I was all in the streets. Fuck a sidewalk. And Redemption says, Jah, what made your lovely wife the one? Well, I'm going to tell you like I told an older brother when he asked me why did I ask her to marry me, right? The older brother in Bed-Stuy, lived on my block, knew I was getting married. Why are you going to marry a young man? You know what I'm saying? What's that for? I said, she was the best partner I ever had. You know what I'm saying? She was the best partner. Yeah, she has the surface stuff. You know what I mean? She's pretty, intelligent, good background, educated, career-oriented, all that stuff on the surface, right? But outside of that, she was the best partner I ever had. She was supportive, you know what I mean? Loving. She's not combative, but that doesn't mean she's just gonna do anything I say. You know what I'm saying? She still has her own point of view, but she's not combative. She don't look for arguments. She don't look for moments to poke holes in what I'm saying or poke holes in what I'm doing. And she supports me, like, since when we first met, she supported me. You know what I'm saying? And I was talking about why. Some people hear support and they just think financial. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, you know, when she met me, I was still in college. She's like a few years older than me, so she was already out of college and found her career and all of that. You know what I mean? And outside of that, I was doing a lot, like as far as like an independent businessman. Like I was that since that age, right? So I would throw events, you know what I'm saying? Bigger than parties. I'm talking about concerts, all of that. So I would do things like that. She would make sure she was there with all of her peoples, you know what I'm saying? She would support any idea I had. She would be like, yo, you can do that. Like supported my idea, my vision, you know what I'm saying? Even when I found my career in youth development, right? Because outside of entertainment, my career is youth development, right? One of the things was that she kind of spoke life into that idea. So I was like, yeah, you know, I want to do this, but I haven't finished school yet. And I probably can't, you know, get into this. Yeah, she was like, yes, you could. Like she was one of the main persons in my life. Like, of course you could. You know what I mean? All the things you do on your own, you know, involving community empowerment and all that. You feel me? She talked life into me. She made me like you know, some people got to pour life into you, you know what I mean? So she poured life into me and into my ideas and never made me feel like, you know, what you're doing, you could be doing better. It wasn't like a judgment thing. It was like, nah, like I see better, you know what I mean? So that goal you have, you can do that now. You don't have to wait, that type of thing, right? So, you know, women like to see potential. So I feel like it was that, but more. It wasn't like she just saw potential and I was a fuck nigga. It was like, nah, like I see potential and I'm just gonna speak life into you and tell you that you can do it, even if that's what you need to hear on the side while you chilling and all that. Because sometimes your friends even would say, oh, you can't do that shit. I remember when I started out to make my first film, it was dudes that was my friends that was like, not all of them. I had most of my friends supported, but I had legit friends that was like, you're not a filmmaker. You never made a film before. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to make a film. Like legit niggas told me you're not going to make a film. You know what I mean? Whereas I would go home, I would go visit her and it was like, oh, you going to make a film? That's what's up. Like it was never a question. If I said I was going to do something, she believed me. And then I had someone that I knew believed in me and then I'll go ahead and do what I said I was going to do. And I'll go celebrate with her. But she was always there, you know what I mean, every step of the way. Even though, like I said, she had found her career before I found mine. She was out of school while I was still in school, all of that. She was always there, you know, cheerleading for me, you know what I'm saying? For lack of better words, cheerleading for me. And then when we came together on a more serious note, when we just went out of dating and became committed, she became a partner, you know what I'm saying, and all that. And not, of course, like the way it is now, but she became a partner where she would know more about what I was doing. And she was just the best partner I ever had. Like I said, I had women that would kind of dip over stupid shit, you know what I'm saying? Like real minute shit. And they'll consider it, like Ms. Ravioli said, some type of red flag, you know what I'm saying? But it'll be some dumb shit like, oh, you smoke weed? Like, nah, she's not judging me because I smoke weed. Like, nah, you smoke weed. Okay. You feel me? Like little stupid shit women would dip over because they looking for this perfect man that they probably still single today. You know what I'm saying? Looking for that perfect motherfucker. She wasn't judging me on those things. You know what I'm saying? So she just had all of the qualities I was looking for. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that answers the question. I kind of went everywhere with it. Redemption says, good on Miss Ja, not throwing last names out there. Thank you. Go ahead, Mimi. You trying to say something?
Yeah, I don't know your wife, but I'm gonna speak for her a little bit and say she did all those things not to be like, oh, I'm doing this so to show you that I'm like, it sounds like she just did it from a genuine, like, I want you to win regardless, independent of what you and I have, which is cool. And this is the point that I drew a blank on earlier when you were talking about like, y'all did your own thing and then you made a choice to come together at one point. So she's independently, she could do whatever she wants, even to this day. And you could do whatever you want to this day because y'all aren't each other's possessions. But y'all choose every day to actively be in love, actively make, sometimes probably adjust. I've never been married, but I imagine to make adjustments to yourself for the greater good of the whole. And when I think about I was like having this conversation with one of my girlfriends, and I was like, I don't want to ever have anyone be with me outside of love. Like, I don't want you to feel like you settle with me. And I also am never going to be the girl of like, when we get married, when you ask, like, I want you to have made that choice yourself. Like, I want to go buy you a ring. I want to like get down on one knee and do it. Like, I'm never having that conversation with anyone. And luckily that I've never had. But it's such a beauty in like someone choosing you and you actively choosing them that you don't get when you put the pressure of like, here's the checklist. We date 3 months. Like, so what is our 3-month anniversary gift? All right, we need to travel around like the 6 to 8 month, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't want anything formulated like that. And I think it's cool that you found someone that chooses you and you sound like you choose her. So cool.
Thank you. Jay Sim says, Logic misses sound like a supporter, motivator, partner, and rider that every dude looks for. That's a fact. That's the best way to put it. So I got a little lost for tongue-tied and lost for words, but that's exactly what I'm describing. You know what I'm saying? So she didn't have this like fake checklist and all of that. She wasn't there trying to come at me from the deficit approach, trying to find out what was wrong with me. She was patient. You know what I'm saying? Which a lot of women aren't patient. Like we talked about the time frames. Women would say, oh, it's been 3 months. It's been 6 months. Nah, she was patient with me. But to let me see, Internet's point, she said, niggas say, yeah, let's date other people and we can talk about it. Then his/her ass start hating and cock blocking when you tell them what you're doing. But that's the thing, Internet. That wasn't me and that wasn't her. However, what I will say is this. When things got sticky to the point where when we both started to feel away, because it wasn't until a few years later where we both started to feel a little way like, you know what? I'm over you dating somebody else outside of me. And we both started feeling that way at the same time. And we didn't hate or cock block or anything like that. But that's when we knew, okay, it's time to step it up. And I brought that to the table. Like, all right, so let's make it official now. You know what I'm saying? The same way I brought marriage to the table, right? Sidebar, I damn near planned 75% of the wedding before I even asked her. I had everything lined up. Her dress, the location, her mother was on board, You know what I mean? I had everything lined up. All she had to do was call her friends, tell them to get their dresses, and pick out little things. What colors do we want to be at the wedding? What food do we want to eat? Stuff like that. I already did because I'm an event planner. What the fuck I look like paying an event planner to plan my wedding? My mother officiated the wedding. My mother was the minister. You know what I'm saying? So I had all of that shit lined up. I had the date, which was Marcus Garvey's birthday. I got married on Marcus Garvey's birthday. You know what I mean? I had everything lined up. And all she had to do was show up and pick her favorite foods. And of course, Miss Ravioli says, JahLogic again exhibiting red flags 5, weed smoke, not good for baby's lungs, wife lungs, and your tea. Edibles work for the non-lazy, smoking unhealthy. Well, edibles can be digest totally different. And Miss Ravioli, you are the abuser today, ma'am. You're the abuser today. And you're still single. You're the one still single. I hate to throw the shots. But I'm the one married. You're the one that's still single. So there's that. So anyway, with that being said, we had a show. We had a great show. I can't stay on too much longer because me and my wife like to balance certain responsibilities outside of our work, right? We're both professionals, so we both have our home offices and all that good shit, but we have to balance the responsibility, which is our son. So today is the day where I manage his morning e-learning. You know what I'm saying? And which is, another sidebar, which is why I also gave you kudos for willing to kind of readjust things in regards to travel, because that's something I did too. As I knew my wife wanted further education. Since I met her, I knew she wanted to be a PhD. So when the time came after we dated and then was committed for a certain amount of years, and she said, yo, I want to go get my PhD, we uprooted. And I went to where she had to go and supported her where she was at. You know what I'm saying? And got money wherever she needed to move. And that's why we moved to California. I didn't go Hollywood or anything like that. We went out there to make sure she got her PhD. I supported her every step of the way. You dig? Got my first gig out there a week after we landed because I'm a networker. Then a year after that, started moving and doing my own thing, shaking. And I started I had my own business already, but found an office space in California, which is where I first had my first office. You know what I'm saying? And got it to popping. And we juggled responsibilities, juggled the fact that she has to go to her office and I had to go to mine. And then we, of course, had us time and all that good shit. So, you know, it's balance. It's balance. It can happen. You know what I mean? I hope my story, even though it's incomplete, I'm not telling you everything. I hope it inspires somebody out there. You dig? And Redemption says, damn, Jah, you had to throw that shot, man. It's but so many abusers I'm going to take. Miss Ravi said, I'm happy without Lucifer and my intimate relationship of life. That's what's up. So I'm sorry that you think Lucifer is your only option. I'm sorry that you think Lucifer is your only option, but there's real men out there. So with all that being said, thank you, Mimi, for this conversation. Thank you for pulling up today. Good morning to you. Good morning to the chat. Salute everybody in the chat. And in regards of fetishes and all that funny shit, I'm going to play a funny song on the way out. I can't stay, so we're only going to do one song today, but I'm going to play this song from this dude named Sean Fury, Biracial Girl. Salute to everybody. This has been the Morning Rant.
She's biracial. She's a biracial girl. She's biracial. She's a biracial girl. She's a biracial girl. Made from a rainbow world. A pretty sight to see. Not like the average kind. More like exotic wine. Come have a drink with me. She thinks the world gone mad. They say she has to choose one side. She knows the harm in choice. She won't go through it, ever do it, never prove it, let it go. She's biracial. She's a biracial biracial. She's a biracial girl. She's a biracial girl. Woo! One who has changed my world. She is the one for me. One for me. Never an average girl. More precious than diamond pearls. A lovely prize to see. Prize to see. She thinks the world's gone mad. They say she has to choose one side. She knows the harm in choice. She won't go through it, ever do it, never prove it, let it go. She's biracial. She's a biracial girl. She's biracial. She's a biracial girl. I love you, biracial girl, all the time. I love you, biracial girl, all the time. I love you, biracial. I wanna walk with you. I wanna talk to you. I wanna lay with you. You're my, you're my, you're my girl. You're my girl. You're my girl.